everybody, welcome back to GTTV from E3 2009. One of the big games announced this year was Avatar. It's a big film coming later this year. There's also a video game, and joining me now, it's a huge honor to have the director of the film and creative collaborator on the game, James Cameron. James, welcome to Spike.
Happy to be here.
Everyone has been clamoring for information on this film and this game. You revealed a little bit about the game today. We don't have any footage yet, but we know a bit about it. Why don't you
still behind a cloak of secrecy.
But what about the viewing public at home? They want to know, but they're so excited about this game.
Good.
What can you tell us about the Avatar game?
About the game? Well, it was developed in absolute parallel. You know, when we were in pre-production 2.5 years ago, we talked to all the different game companies, and we were most impressed by Ubisoft's understanding of the material and their kind of vision for a game that would be utterly its own thing, but sort of co-inhabit the same world as the movie. So we said, hey, let's put you guys on the street before the movie to get people kind of into the mood of being on Pandora and understanding all these creatures and get the lore started and all that. So obviously we had to carve it away from any spoilers for the movie, but it had to be its kind of its own thing. So we encourage them to make up their own characters. They work with a lot of the vehicles and creatures and so on that are in the film, but they also created their own in addition to that. So it's kind of like an extended world, if you will.
So it's set on Pandora, as you mentioned in the briefing. So same world. Is it the same main characters? I mean, the actors, are they in it, or it's a totally separate cast?
No, none of the characters from the movie are in the game.
Oh, really?
Except for the creatures.
Right.
It's got its own mythology. It's all stuff that could be happening sort of simultaneously or just before or just after the events of the movie.
So this is obviously a world that you talked about at the briefing. I mean, you've spent over a decade working on it. Was it hard for you to trust someone else with sort of telling a parallel but a different story with different characters? I mean, there's a lot of trust involved.
Yeah, I think in theory it would have been hard, except that I really liked the way these guys just embraced it. I mean, the first thing they came in with was, well, we want to do it in 3D. I was like, okay, I love you guys right now. They came up with this idea of doing Pandorapedia, which is a way of educating people about the world and all the life in it, just as a kind of an entry to the game. And they had all these great ideas for Na'vi weapons. We actually took some of their ideas and incorporated them into the film as well. So it was a good, kind of cross-pollination, parallel development.
Now, the characters you mentioned are different than in the film, so you can play two sides in this game, right?
You can play,
human or Na'vi?
You can play as a Na'vi or an Avatar, on that side, or you can play as a human, as an RDA trooper.
Do you create your character, or is there a certain character that you play?
I think you plus your character. You come in as a grunt at a low level. You get kind of indoctrinated into or briefed into how to work. You get dropped on a mission, and then you can plus your armor and your weapon systems and all that stuff as you go along.
So how have you been involved over the past couple of years? You've been obviously very occupied in creating the film and finishing that. Do they sort of check in with you and show you what they're doing?
They come every couple of months and show us kind of new environments. They'll demo new sections of the game, and we'll talk about, I mean, we started off early on just kind of blue sky, like, what kind of game should this be? They had all these ideas but hadn't coalesced down. The first thing they created was a first-person shooter, and we really liked the feeling of that. But then we sort of said, well, wait a minute, how are you going to appreciate the Na'vi and their culture if you only ever see two blue hands?
Okay.
It's not going to make sense to people. So they actually switched horses right then, boom.
Now, for you, when you're sort of you're working on this and working on a game, a lot of film directors have sort of toyed with the idea of doing games. Steven Spielberg was here at E3. I mean, he's done some games. Peter Jackson's been involved. I mean, this is sort of the first real game I think you've been involved creatively. I mean, do you see gaming as a really important part of the entertainment industry? Because there's a lot of debate about is it art, is it not?
Our movie's art.
Right.
I mean, I think that in the way that we're doing it, it makes a lot of sense to me. We're creating a world and we're populating it, and there are many portals to that world. It could be the console game, it could be the Wii game. Maybe we'll do an MMO. There are many ways to enjoy this creation and give it a kind of pervasiveness, which I think is really cool. A movie is only one way to do that. It's a 3-hour experience or a 2.5-hour experience, whatever it ultimately winds up being.
So has this made you interested in doing more games? I remember a couple of years ago at a Microsoft conference you talked about how Battle Angel, you might want to do a game on that, and now you've done Avatar. I mean, is this exciting you to saying, hey, I want to tell more stories in movies?
Well, I was just talking to my good friend of mine, Guillermo del Toro, and he's into games. I'm into games. And we said, you know, look, we're only going to be able to make so many movies. We've got a lot of good ideas. So maybe we need to be making more video games than movies.
Something that could start as a game or just be a game.
Absolutely,
live on
why
its
not?
own.
Sure, sure.
Well, that would be exciting.
We can't make movies out of all of them.
We'd be glad to have more James Cameron games. Well, we can't wait to check it out. It's coming out 3 to 4 weeks before the film, and I guess this summer we'll see some footage of this and,
there you go.
and some footage of the film as well, right?
All right, yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thanks so much, James.